Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is popping bubble wrap. Maybe it's you, that addictive snap, that stress relief, that protective cushion keeping your online orders safe. But here's something that'll make you question everything. The inventors of bubble wrap never intended for you to pop it. They never meant it to protect packages. In fact, they weren't even trying to make bubble wrap at all. They were trying to create wallpaper. But before we unravel this backwards journey from warehouse staple to decorating disaster, quick favor. If you're curious about how everyday objects have completely unexpected origins, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these hidden chapters of history. Today, enough bubble wrap is produced each year to wrap around the Earth 10 times. It's a billion-dollar industry. The Sealed Air Corporation, which makes it, is worth over $8 billion. You've seen it everywhere: electronics stores, moving trucks, that package from your mom who thinks you might break if the box shifts during shipping. But look closer at those bubbles. Really look, they're perfectly uniform, trapped between two sheets of plastic, almost like a pattern. Like something you'd put on a wall? That's not an accident. So how did a wallpaper experiment become the most satisfying thing to pop? Let's roll back the clock. Turn back to the 1990s. The internet is changing everything. People are suddenly shipping things to each other, lots of things. eBay launches in 1995. Amazon starts selling books in 1994. And bubble wrap? It becomes essential. Because here's the problem nobody saw coming. Regular people, not professional shippers, are suddenly packing fragile items, and they're terrible at it. Sealed Air Corporation sees their sales explode. But rewind just 20 years earlier, and the company was struggling with something bizarre. In the 1970s, bubble wrap had a serious image problem. People couldn't stop popping it. This was supposed to be professional packaging material. But workers in warehouses were treating it like a toy. Productivity was dropping. The company tried everything to make people take it seriously. They ran ad campaigns showing stern-faced shipping managers. They published studies about proper packing techniques. Nothing worked because humans are wired to pop things. We can't help it, that tactile feedback, that tiny burst of control, that snap. The very thing that makes bubble wrap protective, trapped air under pressure, makes it irresistible to pop. And that pressure, that uniform bubble pattern, that comes from its original purpose. But why would anyone think textured plastic would make good wallpaper? To understand that, we need to go back to where this really started. To a shower curtain, a garage, and two men who had absolutely no idea what they'd actually invented. Picture 1957. America is obsessed with the future. Sputnik just launched. Everything is becoming modern, sleek, space-age. Wallpaper isn't just decoration anymore, it's a statement. And texture is everything, not the floral patterns your grandmother had. No, three-dimensional wallpaper, tactile, different. Enter two engineers, Alfred Fielding and Mark Chavance. They're working in Fielding's garage in Hawthorne, New Jersey, and they have an idea. They seal two shower curtains together. But here's the innovation. Before they seal them, they create air pockets between the layers using a heat sealing machine. The result? A textured, three-dimensional plastic sheet. Lightweight, modern, totally space-age. They call it Air Cap. They're convinced it's the future of interior design. Nobody wants it. Interior designers take one look and pass. It's plastic, it's industrial looking. It doesn't breathe. In humid rooms, moisture gets trapped behind it. It looks cheap. Fielding and Chavance are sitting on boxes of this material. They've invested everything. And their revolutionary wallpaper is a complete failure. But then Chavance has another idea. What if it's not wallpaper? What if it's greenhouse insulation? Think about it. Those air pockets trap heat? They let light through, perfect for keeping plants warm, right? The greenhouse industry says no, the material is too rigid. It doesn't hold up in extreme temperatures. The bubbles create uneven heat distribution. Now they have a product that's failed twice, material that nobody wants. a pattern of bubbles that serves no purpose. For 3 years, they try to sell AirCap as anything. Pool covers, insulation, weatherproofing, nothing sticks. Then, in 1960, something changes everything. IBM needs to ship their new 1401 computer. These machines cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're delicate, they're massive, and they're being shipped across the country. Frederick W. Bowers, a marketing executive at Sealed Air, reads about IBM's shipping challenges in a trade magazine. And he has an epiphany. Those air bubbles? They're not texture for decoration. They're not insulation. They're cushions, hundreds of tiny individual shock absorbers. Each bubble acts independently. If one pops, the others still work. The trapped air distributes impact force across the entire surface. It's brilliant, and it was never the plan. IBM tests the material. They run it through every scenario: drops, vibrations, temperature changes. The AirCap outperforms everything else on the market. They sign a contract. And suddenly, Sealed Air Corporation isn't a failed wallpaper company anymore. They're in the packaging business. The electronics industry catches on fast. If it works for IBM's computers, it'll work for everyone's products. By 1961, bubble wrap is protecting televisions, radios, record players, and cameras. But here's what's fascinating. Fielding and Chavance keep trying to sell it as wallpaper for years. Even after the packaging success, they're still convinced their original vision will catch on. In 1962, they run ads showing bubble wrap as modern wall covering. They pitch it to hotels as bathroom decoration. Moisture-resistant, easy to clean, it still fails. By 1965, they finally accept reality. They rebrand completely. AirCap becomes bubble wrap, a registered trademark. They stop marketing it for anything except packaging. And that's when the real innovation begins. They develop different sizes of bubbles for different applications. Large bubbles for heavy items, small bubbles for delicate electronics. They experiment with colors, tinted versions for light-sensitive products. They create bubbles in different shapes, triangular, hexagonal, each pattern tested for maximum protection. But the original pattern, those uniform circular bubbles from the wallpaper days, that remains the most effective. That texture designed to look interesting on walls turns out to be perfect for distributing impact force. The wallpaper failure becomes a packaging revolution. Now here's something that'll blow your mind. In 2015, scientists at MIT studied why bubble wrap is so protective. What they discovered connects directly back to that garage in 1957. The reason it works so well has nothing to do with advanced materials science. It's because of how Fielding and Chavance sealed those shower curtains. The sealing pattern they used to create visual texture, that specific spacing between bubbles, it creates what engineers call optimal cell density. Single quotes, each bubble is close enough to share load distribution, but far enough apart that they don't compromise each other's integrity. They accidentally created the mathematically perfect shock absorption pattern while trying to make pretty wallpaper. Modern packaging materials try to replicate this pattern. They use computer simulations, advanced testing, millions in R&D, and they keep coming back to the same design that two guys made in a garage with shower curtains because they thought it would look cool on a wall. So let's connect this circle. That bubble wrap protecting your package today? It exists because two engineers wanted to revolutionize interior design in the space age, who failed at wallpaper, who failed at greenhouse insulation, who accidentally created the perfect shipping material, which sat unused until computers needed protection, which became essential when the internet made everyone a shipper, which brings us back to you. Popping bubbles, getting that satisfaction. That tactile feedback that was supposed to make wallpaper interesting. You're experiencing exactly what Fielding and Chavance wanted you to feel when you touched their wall covering. Just 60 years later, on something completely different, that they never planned to invent. Every pop is a reminder that the best inventions aren't always what we set out to create. Sometimes failure at one thing creates something the world desperately needs for something else. Today, Sealed Air makes over $400 million in bubble wrap sales annually. They've branched into dozens of protective packaging solutions. But bubble wrap, that failed wallpaper experiment, remains their flagship product. Alfred Fielding passed away in 1994. Mark Chavance in 2017. Neither lived to see bubble wrap become a cultural icon, a stress relief tool, a symbol of online shopping, but they did see their vision succeed. Not as wallpaper, as something better, something the world actually needed. Sometimes the biggest innovations come from people who were trying to do something completely different, who failed, who pivoted, who discovered that their wallpaper was actually perfect for protecting IBM computers. If this reverse journey blew your mind, smash that like button and subscribe to Hidden Chapters for more stories about how everyday objects have completely unexpected origins. Drop a comment telling me, what other common items should I unravel next? The zipper? Velcro? Post-it notes? Let me know. And next time you pop bubble wrap, remember, you're popping a failed interior design trend from 1957. You're experiencing exactly what it was supposed to feel like, just not where it was supposed to be. Thanks for watching. See you in the next chapter.